All right. Welcome to episode 67 of Faith, Fitness, Joy, Body Transformation, and how to work with each of the three body types. So today I'm talking about how you can transform your body based on which of the three different body types you are most like. So without taking into consideration your body type, you could easily be spinning your wheels following all of these different fitness programs out there that are designed really for a completely different body type from what yours may be. And in doing that, you can, there's a lot of things that can happen. It can affect your metabolism, and it can also just kind of leave you, like I said, sort of spinning your wheels and doing all these efforts that really aren't getting you anywhere. So the other interesting thing about this is, in looking at all the different research out there for weight loss and sort of body recomposition and all of that, you might be fascinated to find out, as I was, that the vast majority of that research is actually based on 25-year-old men. So it's kind of no wonder that a lot of these sort of one approach fits all programs don't really work for a lot of people. Also, in recent years, I've seen a number of programs advertising that they customize the program for your body. A lot of the marketing out there, that's what it sounds like, so I know in my own experience, having heard that, going into these thinking like, oh, okay, they're going to gather all this information and I'm going to have like a workout plan and a nutrition plan that's unique to me, only to get into said program and find out that there is only one series of workouts, or there's a specific nutrition or diet approach for everyone, or it's a combination of the two where there really isn't anything unique about it for everybody going into it. So anyway, obviously that's not all of the programs out there. It's just something that I've seen in the marketing. So all of that in mind, I've learned that there can be something to looking at these different body types and how that might come into play with your goals and whatever you're trying to accomplish in regard with your own sort of physical transformation, if you will. So today I'm discussing the best approaches for each of these three somatotypes or body types, which I went into a little bit in last Sunday's episode as well. But today we're focusing more on taking a deeper dive into how you can work with each of those. So today I'm covering a quick recap of the three somatotypes, just sort of a refresh from last time. And then I'm going to go into how you can, sort of transform your body if you are the ectomorph type, how you can transform your body if you are the mesomorph type, or how you can transform your body if you are an endomorph. So that's what we're covering today. So as some of you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I'm 44 years old and I have done a ton of trial and error over the course of my life when it comes to weight loss. I started all of this sort of trial and error at the age of 14 when I was at a time in my life that I was coming into, it was my first year of high school. All through junior high, I had been bullied about my weight, and that created, pretty severe case of body dysmorphia for me. So I kind of became obsessed with losing weight at the age of 14. And so that's when the journey sort of started for me. So all that said, I've done everything from very unhealthy, extreme approaches to weight loss, like literally starving myself when I was in high school, to over the years doing things like eating at extreme calorie deficits in order to lose weight, while also doing literally hours of exercise every day in an attempt to get as skinny as I could possibly get, because that was a lot of that was my focus for many years. And then, later evolved into doing weightlifting, along with cardio, along with low carb dieting, and then later, more recently, having given a try to this approach that I see being pushed a lot right now, where it's an emphasis on weightlifting, but no cardio or very little cardio. And then I've done all the things in between all of these. I've done the supplements, I've tried every diet. I mean, you name it, I have tried it in the name of weight loss or trying to reach my personal body goals, if you will. And so most of my decades of trial and error towards my fitness goals have resulted in me damaging my metabolism, which resulted in it being even harder for me to lose weight down the line. So eventually I started learning about somatotypes, and I started to learn that the reason that I've always had sort of a harder time with losing weight is because of the body type that I have. And I've learned that when I work with my body type instead of sort of fighting it and trying to force it to be a different body type, if you will, that I just get better results. And I actually just, I have more of sort of sanity around like my overall, regime, if you will, regimen. So one thing that I've learned over the last 30 years, if nothing else, is that whatever you're doing, it has to be sustainable. Because otherwise you're just going to continue to cycle through this pattern of gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, plateau, 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 right? Because you're working against yourself, and that just leads you to repeating this pattern because you do all the things, you get frustrated when you don't get the results, and then you kind of throw your hands up, and then you gain weight, and then, rinse, repeat, right? So accepting the body type that you have and learning to love your body and work with your body is really the only way to have long-term success, peace of mind, and truly just being happy with yourself and your health. Otherwise, like I said, you're just spinning your wheels in futility, and then you're frustrating yourself in the process and possibly even damaging your metabolism like I have. So let's get into how you can work with the body type that you have so that you can achieve the physique transformation that you seek for your unique body. Okay, so as I mentioned, first, let's just do a quick recap on these three somatotypes or body types, if you will. Like, what does that mean? So the term and the concept of these different somatotypes goes all the way back to the 1940s. It was introduced by a psychologist whose name was William H. Sheldon. And he posited that people's bodies fell into these three categories. And each of these categories, well, the body types are categorized based on sort of the shape of the body or the sort of natural composition of the body, as well as how that body type metabolizes food and some other physiological aspects of those body types. So the three somatotypes that he proposed are ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. So before we get into the different ways that you can transform your body based on which of these three types you may be, it's important to understand that this is, a general way of kind of categorizing different body types and physiques and metabolic states, I guess, if you will. So not everybody's going to fit perfectly into each of these three categories. And if you find that when you go out to improve your fitness, and whether it's to lose weight or otherwise transform your body in some way, and you find that you're generally pretty responsive to diet and exercise, if you will, and you don't really seem to run into challenges with getting the results that you want when you apply yourself that way, then this may not make any sense for you. Obviously you're getting results, and that's great. However, if you find that, you sort of struggle to get results with most of these fitness programs, or you seem to have a harder time getting anywhere or seeing any sort of significant change, then it may be that what you're doing isn't aligned to your body type. It may be that some of this does apply to you, and it might be worth, giving it a try and checking it out and seeing if it helps move the needle in the direction that you want to see it go. So you can determine your body type by looking for body type quizzes. It's a simple Google search, and lots of different options will come up. And then you can just, answer some questions, and it'll usually give you an idea of which of the three you fall into from there. So that's a good way to get an idea from where you are in terms of which of these three categories. So next, let's talk a little bit about how you can transform your physique or reach maybe your body goals if you are an ectomorph body type. So ectomorph is the first of the three somatotypes. It is characterized as a slender body, naturally slim, naturally lean, narrower frame. You know, these are often the people that can seemingly eat whatever they want and they don't gain any weight. They naturally have lower fat levels and a very fast metabolism. So this makes it difficult for them to gain fat as well as to gain muscle mass. So considering that if this is your body type, then you are, you know, naturally lean. You don't have an issue with burning up whatever you're consuming, right? So generally speaking, you might have a goal more around gaining some mass. Your goal might have to do more with adding some shape to your body, adding some muscle tone, for example, as opposed to a goal of losing body fat, for example. So if that's you and this is the type of goal that you have and this body type makes sense and fits kind of you, then the best ways to work with this body type in terms of recomposition or transforming your body is to focus on weightlifting as your primary form of exercise to help you build muscle. So you want to focus on lifting heavy and you want to avoid doing a lot of cardio. You really don't need to do much cardio, if any at all, with this body type. And then for diet or nutrition, you still, of course, want to have a balanced diet for a number of reasons. So you want to make sure that you're eating all the macronutrients, you know, carbohydrates, carbohydrates, protein, and fat. But you also want to look at eating a higher amount of calories. So a lot of times when you're looking at macro calculators, for example, they usually have two options. They have one of them being that you want to gain muscle mass and the other one being fat loss, right? So you want to choose the one to gain muscle mass because it's usually going to give you a higher caloric intake for the day. Because the idea with this body type is you want to be eating more so that you can put on that extra muscle mass, and you want to emphasize protein intake. So you want to make sure you're taking in probably a higher percentage of your calories from protein than, say, some of the other sources. But again, you want to have a balance of other macronutrients as well with this body type. So the next body type is the mesomorph. And so how can you change or transform your physique and reach your body goals if you are a mesomorph body type? So the mesomorph body type is distinguished as having a naturally athletic or muscular build. So these are people that are kind of naturally fit looking and naturally muscular looking. The frame of the body may be broader and it tends to be very strong. So oftentimes these people may be even stronger than they look like they are and have more of a muscular base than the other two body types, for example. They tend to have a more balanced muscle to fat ratio than the other two body types. So again, since these body types are more athletic in their build, you want to have more of a balance in your exercise routine, right? So that means you want to include weightlifting as well as cardio. But on your cardio, you want to be more emphatic on shorter, more intensive cardio types of workouts. So high intensity interval training in particular is great for this body type. That's also called HIIT for short. And so this approach, it helps you burn fat while you're in the middle of, like, while you're doing the workout, but it also helps you burn fat over the course of the day, up to, I think it's up to 24 hours after the workout. 24 to 48 hours or something like that between workouts. So it's really a good way to get your cardio in, have it be a shorter amount of cardio, but also helps with increasing your muscle definition for this body type. Mesomorphs also want to maintain a well-balanced diet, making sure that they're including all the different macronutrients, but focusing on smaller deficits if fat loss is a goal, and also determining whatever your daily caloric maintenance levels may be if you are looking to just maybe maintain your weight and maybe you just want to recomposition a little bit. So just being mindful of how you're calculating your calories and your macros, depending on what your goals are. And then also with this type, adequate rest is also really important to help with muscle recovery in between workouts. So next is transforming your body if you are an endomorph. So this body type is characterized as having more body fat and appearing softer. The endomorph body type is a bit of a wider frame. They tend to have wider hips and wider shoulders. And it's much easier for this body type to gain weight. And that applies to both muscle and body fat. The other thing with the endomorph body type is the metabolism is slower, and the body is actually more resistant to fat loss than the other two body types. And that's true even with diet and exercise. Okay, so if you're like I am and you're an endomorph, then you may have experienced the following before. You're adhering to a high calorie deficit coupled with exercise, and you're doing everything religiously. You're measuring your food, you're tracking your food, you're maintaining your deficit, you're maintaining your workouts, and you're doing this, and you might lose a few pounds at the beginning of whatever program or routine you start, and then you hit a plateau. And then, despite even going harder or maintaining that same level of effort, you'll start to gain weight without increasing your diet or changing what you're eating, without slacking on your exercise. You know, it's kind of mind-boggling because you'll be doing all the things and your body will still find a way to put weight on. Does that sound familiar? That is because the endomorph body type is hardwired to hold on to body fat. This goes back to like, you know, survival type of mode, right? So what happens is the harder that you try to lose this weight, the harder your body is going to fight to hold on to any excess body fat. Sounds pretty frustrating, doesn't it? So this is why it's important to just, you know, kind of accept that this is your body type, and or whatever your body type is really, and focus your efforts on how you can work with it so that you can get the results that you want. Because there's no use in trying to, you know, be an ectomorph if you're an endomorph, because it's just going to backfire on you. And I speak from personal experience because I did that for many, many years. So endomorphs require a very well-balanced, well-structured exercise approach. Again, we have to do all the things, right? So endomorphs need weightlifting, we need cardio, and we need flexibility training. So weightlifting is essential for endomorphs. This is how you sort of reshape the body and achieve some of that tone and shape that you want. You want to lift heavy, lifting, you know, heavier weights, but also higher reps, using supersets or mini circuit approaches so that you can maximize fat loss and muscle growth during your workouts. So an example of this is to include like a moderate cardio move at the end of your superset. So a superset is two weightlifting exercises back to back. So let's say you're doing your back, you're working your back that day. So it would be like a wide grip lateral pull down coupled with like a seated row, for example, or something like that. So your third exercise, you'd want to include like maybe 60 seconds of some sort of a moderate cardio type of move. And this can be something like marching in place, maybe some jumping jacks or stair steps or something like that. Something that's not too intense or crazy, but enough to keep you moving so that you're maintaining a fat burn level. You also want to include cardio as part of your routine as well. So you want to combine HIIT workouts that I mentioned before, which are just, you know, very short interval types of workouts where you're going like maybe a minute really hard at your max heart rate, and then you're at 2 minutes at a moderate heart rate, and you cycle through that for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. These are not long cardio workouts, they're very short. And they're very intense. So you might want to do that 2 to 3 times a week, not too often, but enough to get that fat burn throughout the day, actually up to a couple days in between workouts. And then you also want to include the lower intensity steady state cardio as well on the off days of your HIIT workouts or your HIIT cardios, to help you with, again, staying in a fat burning state for your cardio as opposed to being at a high heart rate for the duration of your cardio. So you want to aim for like 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate for this, so that you're in a fat burn heart rate as opposed to a cardio heart rate. So you have a range where I think your max heart rate is if you take 220 and subtract your age. That's your maximum heart rate. So in order to get where that 60 to 70% range is, you want to take that max heart rate and multiply it by 0.6 or 0.7 to get your range. And you want to be somewhere in between those two numbers during your cardio, but not higher than that. So for nutrition, endomorphs also need a balanced diet, including all of the macronutrients. So don't cut food groups and don't go into extremes with your dieting. That being said, there's a couple things to keep in mind here. So first, yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit if you are an endomorph, but you have to be careful about how large of a deficit you go into, because as we were talking about a second ago, the endomorph body type is very good at resisting weight loss or fat loss. So if you get the deficit too large, you're going to trigger this body type into holding on to body fat as opposed to letting it go. It's going to resist you more, versus if you have a smaller deficit, it will let go some of the body fat. The second thing to keep in mind is to focus on nutrient dense food. So this is like quality of the type of the food that you're eating. It's not just about strict being in a calorie deficit, because I have done that as well and also had minimal results with just looking at calories, right? So this means that you want to limit processed foods, which in my opinion, everybody should be limiting processed foods as much as you can, because there's a lot of crap in there that the body does not need. And it can actually be harmful to the body. That's a story for another time. You also want to limit high sugar foods, so anything with a high sugar content. And you want to focus on high fiber for your carbohydrates. So a general rule of thumb I followed for many years now is, for the majority of my carbohydrates, and I'm talking about bread or pasta or rice, I want to find something that has a high fiber content. And by high fiber, I mean I'm looking for 3 grams per serving or more of fiber for anything like cereal, bread, pasta, in particular. You also want to aim for lean proteins, right? So turkey breast as opposed to ground turkey. Ground turkey can actually be pretty high in fat, because it's got the lean and the fattier parts of the turkey in it. Chicken breast, certain seafoods. Yeah, those are the main ones for the lean protein. Also, like fat-free yogurt is good. Greek yogurt in particular is good because it has a high protein content. And then also lots of fresh fruit and vegetables. And then the other thing is good hydration is also really important for kind of flushing the body, helping your body release body fat, and just cleansing your body overall. So that is a breakdown of the 3 different somatotypes and sort of the best ways that you can work with whatever yours may be in regard to achieving the body composition that you might be seeking for your personal goals. Keep in mind that there are some things in addition to what's maybe specified for each body type that are universal across all of the body types, that's going to help maximize not only your results, but also improving your health, right? So this includes getting adequate sleep. That means a minimum of 7 hours of sleep every night, up to 9 hours. Hydration, good hydration. You should be, I think a general kind of rough rule of thumb is drinking your body weight in ounces of water at a minimum. Managing your stress levels. High stress can also lead to all kinds of other issues that are going to hinder your progress with regard to body recomposition or even fat loss. And then eating more vegetables every day to get as many vitamins and minerals as possible to help your body function properly and also for maintaining good health. So that concludes today's episode of Faith, Fitness, Joy. As always, I would love to hear from you, so please share your thoughts in the comments. If you find this helpful and you want to continue the pursuit of faith, fitness, and joy with me, please like and subscribe. And you can also find things all mind, body, and soul health on the website at faithfitnessjoy.com. And last but not least, if you are not in the free Facebook group, also called Faith, Fitness, Joy, please send a request to join that today. I would love to see you in there. I do a number of different things in there, like master classes. I also do channel guidance for each month and for the week, and I do a free channel Q&A every Friday. And then I also have different courses that go in depth on some of the things I share around health and fitness here in the podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in the comments and in the socials.